Yo, what's up guys? It's Talon. Today I'm going to be showing you guys a live game, or rather a replay that I'm going to be talking over and kind of giving you guys my thought process. And what I really wanted you guys to learn from this gameplay is kind of how, as an early game champion, you end up beating a later game champion, and kind of, you know, how to kind of use your early game advantage in jungle to nullify that champ and not allow them to get to the later parts of the game. So this game I'm at Diamond 1 right now. I think during this time I was Diamond 2. And we got a pretty low elo lobby. We have like emeralds, and we even have a plat Lulu in here. So this is a bit lower elo for this part of the season. Obviously, you know, emerald, diamond at this part of the season are a bit higher because it's the start of the season, so nobody's really past master at the moment. But anyways, to kind of get into the ways that I want to play into these champs, I want to be paying very close attention to their jungle pathing. I think initially a very important thing to do into these late game champs is to try to figure out their jungle pathing by warding one of their buffs or one of their camps. And so I make a mistake here and don't do that. But what I should have done is probably run to their raptors or their blue buff and warded that, and then gone and farmed, because I don't really need to ward my blue here, because Evelyn's never going to invade. The champion doesn't do that. Every Evelyn player basically will full clear, and then they'll gank at level 5. It's super telegraphed. It's a super straightforward way. We pretty much know exactly what she's going to do. I don't know which camp she'll start at, but she's going to try to clear all her camps and get level 5, and then she'll gank. So because of that, what I should have done is found her early. But here you can see that I already ping on my way to the blue buff. And the reason that I'm looking for blue buff, I'm first going to clear my full red side, but after that I'm going to go to her blue buff. And the reason is because I have prio. I have Fiora versus Darius, and as a Fiora player myself, I know Fiora hard wins this matchup if they're decent. So I know my Fiora will probably have lane priority. And then my Diana is a player that I'm duo with, so I know they're a pretty good player, and I expect them to be able to help me if I need help. So for this reason, I'm going to use my sweeper and go straight onto her camps, just because, once again, I want to find her early and I really want to deny her strength. I don't want her to get farmed up. So I see her here, but because I have the prio from my laners, I know that I can do it. I was pinging before already, and I was trying to get them, and because of this we end up getting the Evelyn flash, forcing her out. And then you're going to see here I'm going to continue to go on her and force her, because she's just so much weaker than me early game. So I know that I can just win this fight pretty easily. I end up not smiting her blue buff, but I still get the kill onto her. And trust me guys, I've read enough Twitch chat messages and YouTube comments to know what your guys' response will be to this. And you guys will probably say something along the lines of, my laners never rotate to me. They never help. They don't do this. Like, my laners will just sit in their lane, do nothing, and then let Evelyn scale and gank her, and we'll lose. And yes, guys, this will happen in some of your games, and there's nothing you can do about it. At times, your laners won't help. But if you ping, and then you realize that your laners have prio, like my Fiora was already winning there when I decided to do that. I already knew that she'd likely be there. Again, I spam ping so that she knows that I'm getting there. And for those reasons, it's pretty likely that they're going to end up helping you out. Now, they're not always going to help you out, guys. Sometimes they're not going to. But even, again, I have a plat and emerald like players on my team right now who are probably diamond master highest rank, which is not super high. So like, even those players are aware of this and will help you if you're pinging enough and they already have the winning matchup. And again, you know, this is really what you have to do in these champs. You saw now I'm going to the other scuttle. I want to try to get 2 scuttles onto her. I know that she's going onto her raptors now, so I want to even look at her raptors and see if I can possibly fight her. You can see how I'm really looking for fights in the early game or whatever way I can. Now, I don't end up finding her, and so I go back to farming. And this is the important thing to note as well, guys. So again, the way the early game went, I farmed my red side. I realize, again, she's probably on her blue buff at this point, because usually people start red buff. So I'm going to go to her blue buff because I have the lane priority, and then I use that to snowball and try to kill her, okay? After that happens, again, I continue to try to find her on her raptors after going for a gank on the top side of the map, and I try to get both scuttles. Now, all of this is really good, and this is how an optimal early game will go if you're an early game champ into these late game champs. Of course, this is not always going to work out, and whether or not these ganks worked out, you still need to make time to farm so that you don't get screwed over in case they don't work out. So again, you can see I'm still farming relatively well. I have a lot of gold, even though I've gone for these ganks and gone for these early plays. I'm still keeping my farm good. I've just gone back and farmed my blue side. Now I'm going for my red side again. Even though I, again, see these opportunities for fights, it's not the only thing I'm looking for. And this way, even if fights don't work out or I die or make a mistake, we're still going to be high enough gold where we can potentially win in the later parts of the game. So it's important to set yourself up for these potential early game plays that I'm doing, which ended up working out in this specific game. But that doesn't mean it's always going to work out this way. Of course, sometimes it won't, and sometimes you're just going to need to have that fallback option of just having enough gold and being able to being able to farm up and keep your gold high. And so once again, you see I'm farming, but I do see a kill opportunity, so I go for it. And this is why this early game ends up going really well for us. So just the fact that I saw gank opportunities when I was farming and then I went for them, and again, I pressure this Evelynn early, allows me to get this early lead on her, and I have a 1k gold advantage. I have my Trinity Force. And what do I want to do at this point, guys? So if your early game does go well and you do beat the early game champion in the early game, well then what you should do is try to fight the same objective as them. Why would you want to do this when you're winning the early game? Because if you're fighting the same objective, then you can continue to snowball your lead in a fight. Since we're stronger early game and we have more kills, I know if we're in a fight, we'll probably win it, so I want to try to fight Evelynn if I can. You're going to see here, I'm expecting her to go Herald for the reasoning that I think she'll think I'm going Dragon because she saw me going towards there. So for that reason, I'm trying to end up going there, going to Herald to try to match her. Now, I don't believe it works out. I haven't watched back this game, but I think it doesn't work out, and we end up just starting this because I couldn't find her. So again, I expected her to go Herald, so I tried to find her on Herald. However, I was incorrect, and I end up just, trading objectives with her. However, guys, again, if your goal is to snowball a game, Herald is going to be the optimal objective, and the reasoning for that is because dragons give very little value early on in the game. And again, the reason for that is because they only give you a very small bonus until you get multiple of them. So getting this first tower is going to give me way more value in gold and just everything overall in comparison to getting the dragons. So I'm going for this Herald because I want to be snowballing the game. So the two things to think about once you're ahead, look at this int, by the way, that was kind of stupid of me, but oh well. It happens. We make dumb mistakes sometimes. But the two things you want to think about for the objectives when you're leading in the early game and you have the better early game is, one, you want to try to fight them if you can, but two, if your goal is to snowball, then you want to go for that Herald like I did here. So again, I thought she'd probably be on the Herald, so I wanted to take the fight, but even though it didn't work out, getting the Herald's better there. You saw we got the first tower in mid lane, and then we even got the second charge onto the tier 2 turret in mid lane, so we really are snowballing ourselves well, and we're also getting our Diana ahead, which once again, guys, is my duo. And when you are playing duo, it's definitely important to use like that Herald probably for them a lot of the times if you can, because you can probably trust your duo more than other people. Now that doesn't mean that if you have a carry who ends up popping off and it's not someone that you're duo with, like of course give them the Herald in that case. Look at this, I reset my blue buff. I messed that up too. I made some dumb mistakes in this game still, but yeah, overall we were able to snowball this one pretty well in this early game. So I hope that early game kind of thought process and everything is helpful for you guys. That's really what's going through my mind in the early game and how I kind of snowball the early game against early game or late game champs when I can. And then the fact that I have a really fast clear speed on Vi helps me kind of keep the pace really well with Evelynn, who also clears pretty quickly. And so now at this point in the game, I want to maintain my gold lead while still obviously looking for fights when I can, since we're strong. So you can see my camps are all up, so I'm farming, and then I'm going to be trying to invade her when I can, if it looks like a realistic opportunity to do so. So I believe here I'm going to go check her blue buff to see if it's up or not, and I believe it's not going to be up, but even just checking here after I clear up my camps is very important. I do end up covering actually the bot lane here, since the Fiora goes and split pushes in mid lane. And so yeah, just covering even lanes as a jungler is okay. Sometimes you're allowed to do that. It's not the end of the world if your laners leave their lanes. Sometimes you can cover it. Obviously, if there's an objective up, you don't want to cover it. But here, because there's no objective up, I end up waiting for Darius's stacks to wear out, and then we go and get a nice little kill on him there. So that was a good way to even just cover my laner and then get an extra kill too. So here, what I would want myself to do is go check the blue buff. I should look at Evelynn right now on the map and see if she has her blue buff, which I didn't end up doing. So I don't end up going and checking her blue, but probably what I should have done. Overall, not too bad though. We could probably go up to the top side here and look for a potential kill. We'll kind of see. But once again, guys, you see how I'm always on my farm. Like my farm spawns, I'm pretty much on it unless there's a really good fight opportunity. Again, I'm just maintaining my lead by just farming really well and keeping my gold lead that I gained from the early game. And then now I see a fighting opportunity and there's no camps up for me to spawn, so it's a great time to look for that kill there. So I'm gonna do exactly that. And I believe we'll end up getting the Yasuo here if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, we end up getting the kill over to ourselves, which is really good. So we've got 5 kills here. We're really strong. Now I can even look potentially in mid lane for more kills since 2 of them are dead. So Hopefully we end up getting some kills here. We'll kind of see what happens. I only played this game like probably 5 to 6 hours ago, but I already forgot half of what happened. And so yeah, I just kind of ignored that fight. And now you see I go look to her blue buff. So when you get kills on these champions in the early game or mid game as well, it's very important to use that that time to take their jungle. So you see here how I killed the Evelynn. I do look for a play in the mid lane, but as soon as it doesn't work out, I'm just like, all right, let me dip out. Let me just now go take her blue buff, kind of screw her over even more. It's really important to not let these late game champions get gold, because of course Evelynn's a champ where once she gets gold, it's kind of like, you know, it's very hard to deal with her. She can one-shot your squishies and do a lot, but if you play like I am, you keep the pace up really well. You try to do what you can in the early game, and then when you get, you know, to the mid game, you continue to use that lead. Wherever you do get kills or win fights, you then go and take her jungle more, or you find something to do on the map. Generally, as jungle, it's very important to just have something that you're doing. Now, sometimes just covering a laner is okay, but for the most part, you're going to want to be getting gold or getting kills or doing something. And then Evelynn isn't here, so I should probably just end up clearing, or clearing the jungle, but we end up just getting a nice engage here. And my Diana follows up well, and we just get some kills. Pretty good overall. I believe we do win this fight. Also, using my Q to cancel the Samira ult is pretty good. And I think we end up getting a triple here. So, yeah, pretty good. Evelynn comes in, and there's the triple. Overall, very good plays for me. Just kind of CCing someone once they go in. And, you know, team fighting on Vi is rather straightforward. Mostly just... I've been playing a lot of Vi today. She's super strong right now. But really good into assassins and carries as well, because you can just lock them down. So, I really like Vi. I think I'm going to be playing more of her this patch. She seems super strong, so... Very tanky. I've been going tank runes. I've been going... the resolve tree on her with aftershock as well, so that's been really good for me. Just really hard to kill in general. And then I have triumph as well, so just very, very tanky going in, like not dying. And then if I have all this gold and have these tank items and these bruiser items, it works out really well. But yeah, I mean, now we just have these kills. At this point the game is pretty straightforward. It's pretty linear. Playing jungle at this point, it's just go for objectives, go back to farming. Once your camps are down, then look for kills. Since they are fighting already here, I do end up seeing if I can do anything, but as soon as the fight looks like nothing's going to happen, I go right back to farming. Again, just like this really, like, efficiency is very important, especially into these late game champs, because once again, if I ever screw up and I end up making one dumb play and dying into them in a stupid fight, they get the shutdown onto me, they get an objective, and they start coming back, and it's really hard from there. So keeping up this pace is what's most important. So I'm really looking for these fights after I farm if I can. Even looking for her blue buff now when it comes up, to see if I can get a possible steal on it, since it just spawned and I saw Evelynn on top side. So once again, I'm just keeping this pace up. I'm taking her stuff whenever I can. I'm really not letting her play the game. She has to keep the pace up with me really well, or she's just not going to end up doing anything if she's not farming her stuff constantly. Like, you can see how my teammates died in the top side of the map, and that sucks. But like, I get her entire blue side. So each camp is worth over 150 gold. So it's probably like 450 to 600 gold that I get here, and then I deny her that gold as well. So overall, I just like obviously get a huge value, and then I end up going on her in her jungle. I miss my Q, but we still get the kill on her. So once again, I mean, she thinks her jungle's up. She goes in there like, oh, let me just go get my jungle, but it's already gone, and then I'm in there and a wild Vi ults her and she dies. So yeah, I mean, at this point in the game, I'm mega fed. I'm super hard to kill, like just insane how tanky I am at this point. So it should be really, really straightforward from here. Again, I have 12k gold. No one else on their team has over 9k. So at this point, maybe I'm not a scaling champion necessarily, but if I'm up this much gold, it doesn't really matter if I'm a scaling champ or not. They can't do anything because they just can never kill me. So again, that's kind of the main thing that I want you guys to learn from this video, and I feel like I've reiterated that quite a bit. So if you guys are, you know, those early game players, I know a lot of people like the early game because it feels like you can impact the game a lot more. I think this video and doing these things, especially against these late game champs, is going to be pretty helpful for you. Now at this point, I don't really want to fight because my Diana's not here and my Fiora is not here. So I'm kind of just stalling while I let them split. Again, like, this is another thing. Sometimes if your teammates are on the side lane and they're not really helping you, it's good to just kind of stall, not really go in or anything. But I think here I do end up inting and going in when I shouldn't, if I'm not mistaken. But it's not a bad thing to necessarily stall like I am here. I think we might kill Yasuo here. So yeah, it does end up working pretty well. And then you can see the Fiora on the back line is doing a really good job. So Darius does get his ult, or his 5 stacks, but we kill him before it even matters. And I think we should probably go Baron at this point, or we can end. I'm not sure. Might be endable. We'll have to see. But yeah, I mean, we just snowballed this game really effectively. And from there, it was pretty straightforward. I think we're going to go for Baron, yeah, and then they FF. So there it is. Again, 14-minute game, very quick game. I just hope you guys were able to learn how to kind of beat those late game junglers. Again, just keep in mind, early on in the game, if you have lane priority, you can go for those invades. If you don't have lane priority, then you might not be able to do that. But even going for these the Herald, you know, to snowball the game as well is going to help you guys in that aspect as well. So yeah, I hope this was useful for you guys. Let me know what you guys are playing on this patch in jungle and everything, and how you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you later.